Hello, my name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So I told you guys a few months ago that I was giving Book of the Month Club kind of a tryout and that I would let you know what my thoughts were when I felt like I had gathered sufficient data. And yeah, I've been in for 4 months, so I feel like I have sufficient data at this point to kind of give an opinion. And highlight is I think that this is a good service for the right people, and for the wrong people, it can still be useful. So let's get into that. So in terms of sort of like my initial experience, I had been, I'd been getting into BookTube increasingly over the previous year. And of course you hear a lot about Book of the Month Club on BookTube because a lot of people are like affiliates or whatever, which is fine. Because of that, I'd increasingly been like, this might be worth trying at an introductory price, because I was not into spending the full $15 a credit to start off with. Like, that wasn't something I was interested in doing, but I was interested in trying it at a discounted rate. So first I should probably describe what Book of the Month Club is, if somehow you never watch BookTube and just don't know. Book of the Month Club is exactly what it says. It is a book a month. It's a subscription service, basically. So every month you pay $15 for a book credit, and with that credit you can buy one of, I think, 5 or 6 options that they have pre-selected. These are new releases that are in hardback. So $15 for a brand new release hardback in general is a pretty good deal. It's not like an amazing deal, but a pretty good deal, especially if there are titles that you are interested in reading. If you're not interested in reading any of the titles that they have on selection that month, you can skip it. So you can either not buy a credit at all, or you can buy the credit and just defer using it depending on what your preference is. The other thing that they allow you to do is you can get add-on books for usually an even cheaper rate. So sometimes like $5, sometimes $10, whatever, but you could end up buying, let's say, one like brand new hardback release and one, relatively new hardback release, let's say the last like 4 or 5 months, for like $20, which is a pretty good deal. So once I made the determination that I was willing to try this like at the introductory rate, I kind of was trying to figure out whose code I was going to use, who was going to get credit for my money, and I decided to go with Chapter Stack's link, her code. If I remember, I'll link that below because I really like her and I'm happy to send any money she gets out of that her way. But I will say that there was a little hiccup in my first kind of experience with Book of the Month Club, and that was that I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding, if she's not quite saying it the way that it is, or if there's some kind of bait and switch happening. I'm open to any of those things possibly being the case, but my understanding was that the introductory rate was $5 per credit, so you would be buying in essence I think $10 for 2 new hardbacks, and then you're paying an additional $5 for an free extra book, or maybe even that free extra book was just actually free. I don't quite remember. I think when I was going into it, my expectation was that I was spending $10 but no more than $15 for 2 months. However, once I actually got to the site, it was clear that it was actually going to be $10 a month, $20 for 2 credits, but that the additional bonus book was indeed free. So I don't know that that was a great kind of like introduction to their pricing. I think maybe what it was that she was meaning to say it was $5 off the credit as opposed to just $5. But maybe I just misread it. I don't know. All that to say, there was some misalignment between my expectations and what was actually happening, so that wasn't necessarily a great beginning customer experience. That being said, I kind of did the math and thought, okay, $20 for 3 books, that's let's call it $7 per new hardback. That's still a fantastic deal. This is still something that I'm willing to give a try. So I went with that first month, and that was in September. And the 2 books that I got that month, the sort of main pick that I selected was Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. And I got this because I'd been hearing a lot about it on BookTube, and I was sort of intrigued. I liked the cover. The cover kind of drew me in. It seemed mysterious. And then I was intrigued by what I'd heard of the plot. But even more so, the reason I decided to bite the bullet and do it in September was that the bonus free book was Sleeping Beauties by Stephen and Owen King, and I'm really keen to read this. I may try to read it over the break, like over Christmas break. It's, you know, it's a big old book, as Stephen King is wont to have, but I was excited to get this at such a great price. So that was sort of my, like, what hooked me in. So that was September. My books did not actually ship because this didn't come out, I think, until like the 28th-ish of September, the Stephen King one. So the books didn't actually ship until the very end of September, and I want to say I either got it at the end of September or very beginning of October. But they shipped really well. Like, the timing on that was fine. Shipping is included in the cost of what you're paying, so you're not paying extra for shipping. I've had really positive experiences with shipping with Book of the Month Club. Like, you get the notification, and I want to say usually it's like 3 days later your books are there, so I was really impressed with that. October came around, and I was looking at the books, and none of them really were doing anything for me, so that I decided to skip a month. So at that point I still had 1 credit on my account that I had paid for, but I hadn't used yet. So I got 2 books in September, none in October. Then November came around, and I saw that Andy Weir's new book, Artemis, was one of the selections. And I didn't actually read, The Martian, even though I've heard such great things about it, just because I heard so many things about it that not that it got ruined for me, but I was just like, you know what, I don't think that this would live up to the buzz at this point for me, but I really wanted to try something from him. So I was excited that I got to get a new release from an author I was interested in trying at a great price. So, like, I'd say of everything I did, this is probably my favorite thing I've gotten. I'm not done with this book yet, but like, it's good so far. So anyway, that's getting into the more book review part of this. But anyway, so those are the 3 books I got, because then when the December picks came out, and remember, at this point I don't have any credits left, so I would be paying $15 for any book that I chose. I looked at the list and was not interested in any of them. So basically I've done this for 4 months. I selected books 2 of the months. I've skipped 2 of the months. And at this point, any books that I want to get going forward would be $15 each. In terms of the actual books I've gotten, like I was mentioning, Artemis I think is probably my favorite thing I've gotten, just because this is a chance to try an author without having to get on a super long library waiting list, try a new book from an author that I've been wanting to try, and what I've read of the book so far I've really enjoyed. So I think for me, this is probably, like, this was fully worth the roughly $7 I paid for it. And honestly, this is maybe one where I'm not sure if I would have paid $15, but I definitely would have paid $10 for this and not had a problem. The most disappointing book that I got was Emma and the Night. Not that this wasn't bad, it just wasn't for me and didn't quite connect with me the way I was hoping it would. So of the 3 books I have, I've only read 1 in full, and it was one that I didn't like and I'm going to get rid of. So was this worth $7? Probably not. I probably should have just gotten this from the library. And then I don't know yet about this. I do think that $7 for a brand new Stephen King hardback is a fantastic price. So from that respect, I have no problems. And I think the add-on prices are usually they're $5 or $10, and I think that would be a great price for this book. So in terms of like dollar value of what I have spent so far, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I don't feel like I wasted my money. I feel like it was a good experiment that I'm glad I did. Going forward, I honestly don't see myself using this that much. I'm not going to cancel my membership. I'm just probably going to end up skipping almost every month, because there's just very few hardbacks that I think would be available in Book of the Month Club that I would be willing to pay $15 for, like, right up front, because I got to read it right away. I just don't see that being something I would do that often. I do think that, though, that for me at least, and I think for readers who are like me, who already have a very large TBR, like, it's not like I'm hurting for things to read, right? I think that this can be an interesting addition to kind of the mix of how you're getting your books. If you do have, like, let's say 1 or 2 books a year that you want to get immediately when they come out in hardback, this might be something worth kind of like putting in the mix for you. The people who I think that this is a fantastic idea for are people who are not what I would call power readers, but definitely enjoy reading and read on a regular basis, and who like keeping up with new releases. So actually, somebody who I think would really enjoy this that in my life that I know is my mom. Like, I could totally see her liking this. The only thing is that she prefers e-reading, so I don't know that the hardback piece of it would be that great for her. But readers like her, where she likes to read things that are kind of coming out fresh. She's in a book club, and book clubs I think this would be a great suggestion for. because it can be so hard for people in book clubs to pick what they're going to read next. And if everybody just has like 5 options that they have to pick from, I could see that making that a lot easier. So I think people who do like to read and read, let's say 1 or 2 books a month, like maybe even 3 or 4, this I could see being a really like good way for them to not have to spend a lot of time finding books that they're going to enjoy, because there's sort of been like some pre-curation happening. But yeah, I would say for me, this is not something that I'm necessarily that excited about and like super into and would super recommend to you guys, but it's also something that I definitely appreciate that I had an overall positive experience with, and something that I will keep as a part of like my arsenal of ways I get books. But like I said, I just don't think that this is going to be something that is really a huge part of my reading life, but I could see why people like it, and I think that the service for what it is very well run and fairly reasonably priced. Like, I think the prices make sense. So those were my thoughts on Book of the Month. If you get Book of the Month, I'd love to hear what you think about it. I had a couple of people, when I mentioned I was trying this out, kind of have in the comments mention that they had a pretty similar kind of experience or reaction to it as I do. But, you know, some people really love this. So if you're one of them, let me know. If you hate Book of the Month Club, if you tried it and you didn't like it at all, let me know that too. Yeah, just leave me a comment below telling me what you think. And I think that that's gonna do it. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. All that information is listed below. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!